Hello, stakeholders. We are joined by the high-level track facilitators. WSIS Forum is a multi-stakeholder event, and stakeholders from different stakeholder types are represented in the high-level track that is moderated by high-level track facilitators from different stakeholder types. So we had several sessions yesterday, and we have a few tomorrow. In total, 13 high-level tracks that we are going to do this year. And I'll start with Amrita, who moderated the first leaders talks, which spoke about partnerships, like partnership pivot. So Amrita, really, what came out of your session? What have we achieved? Is the multi-stakeholder model working? And what is the vision that was portrayed during your session?
Thanks, Gitanjali, for the question. And we had a very diverse panel of speakers. They came from different regions, developing countries mostly, bringing different expertise. What we discovered in the panel was that 20 years there's been significant development in terms of connecting people, schools, e-health, capacity building, even giving citizen-centric services. Of course, there is more to be done, and that is one of the concerns, because bridging the digital divide is one of these issues. There is also the concerns rising about cybercrimes, while emerging tech such as AI can be used very well for AI for good, but then there is also risks which are coming. So these were certain concerns which were raised. In terms of opportunities, these same technologies like artificial intelligence can be used or leveraged in better ways by developing countries, for example, in e-health or e-agriculture, etc. In terms of vision for after WSIS+20 in the renewal, everyone said, yes, the WSIS needs to be renewed, the mandate needs to be renewed. It has to be more agile, open. Obviously connecting the unconnected is something which is important. The development divide between developing nations and developed nations need to be reduced. The cybersecurity risks need to be mitigated, but all this can only happen with partnership. The transformation of the society can only happen not by governments, but it has to be a public-private partnership. There has to be civil society, academia, research, which is very important. And while giving the examples, they did also talk about the partnerships, multi-sectoral, multi-stakeholder, even in financing. So these are some of the key takeaways we had.
Thank you, Amrita. In fact, I heard several conversations where stakeholders felt that the end users and the developers should also be in a partnership when we are talking about this. And of course, in terms of the process, no duplication, using the WSIS framework to implement the process beyond 2025.
Yes, because everyone has limited resources. Duplicating it is very difficult, and there has been a process which has been working fairly. Yes, it needs to be improved. Like, for example, the IGF, which is a bottom-up process where you can get messages, and the WSIS has even the process of even having this meeting, the various sessions is through a multi-stakeholder approach, which needs to be maintained.
Thank you, Amrita. Carol, your session really was about inclusion. That was the key word there. And WSIS from the beginning has been an inclusive process. It was about bringing technology to the people. Like, how can the benefits of technology go to people on the ground? Whether it be agriculture, whether it be health, whether it be education. So what were your key takeaways?
Absolutely. Thank you, Gitanjali, for the question. So our panel featured experts from Somalia, Uganda, Jamaica, Bangladesh, Zimbabwe, and we had international NGOs and strategic advisory bodies. And there are two key requisites here. We need digital infrastructure and we need digital literacy. So we need secure, robust access to digital ecosystems, and everybody needs the skills to navigate them. So this means targeted initiatives to make sure that we're reaching people in remote communities, to make sure we're reaching all women, the youth, and we're reaching people with disabilities. We spoke about AI. I mean, how could we not?
Yes.
We looked at how AI can be integrated in public services like education, and how AI technologies can render inaccessible spaces accessible to people with disabilities. And we were also very clear that the digital divide has not yet been bridged. There are probably 2.6 billion people thereabouts who are still unconnected. And WSIS is a key multi-stakeholder platform for driving progress towards closing that digital divide. And we explored the idea of WSIS going forward as this unique connection point between UN fora and other international organizations and national actors to create localized, targeted plans to bridge the digital divide across various geographies and carry on the work that's been happening for the past 20 years.
Thank you, Carol. Indeed, inclusion is so crucial. It's unacceptable that people are still not connected. Digital skills, capacity building still remains a big issue, though all of us are making a big difference in that area. Also inclusion of young people, older people, women. We do see so many women in this conference today, which is very encouraging. 10 or 20 years before, it was not the case. So
Yes.
It is working. It's working.
It is working, and it's been my honour to attend the Network of Women's Breakfast yesterday morning. And you're right, there are a variety of reasons why people may find themselves marginalised. And we have regulatory challenges here, we have technical challenges, we have investment challenges, but it's all a work in progress.
Thank you, Carol. We have a lot of work to do ahead. Lydia, really your session was a lot about governance, digital governance, e-governance, as we used to call it in the WSIS action line. So what did you hear, and was there a vision that was provided in your session?
Yes, in fact, it was not just a panel. It was a real conversation across regions. So we had policymakers and high-level experts from different countries, Nigeria, Costa Rica, South Africa, Georgia, Portugal, and Greece, and all of them shared their experience and perspective in the area of creating regulatory frameworks for fit for future digital world. And the session clearly demonstrated that what is necessary is to have strong, bold, but also balanced regulatory leadership anchored in values like transparency, like trust, because technology are widely diffused and used only when they are trusted, but also with long-term resilience.
Thank you, Lydia. Resilience has been like a cross-sectoral theme in all the sessions as well. Not only cybersecurity, but resilience as well. So thank you. Caroline, your session talked a lot about cultural diversity and, how do we ensure that actually our action line C8, how do we get linguistic diversity, cultural diversity? How do we get the people included into our conversations? So what were the key takeaways?
Yes, thank you. Well, we first of all reminded us that languages is not only about words, but it's about how every one of us is capable in its mother tongue to present the vision of the world he or she is in and project him or herself. So it's not only a matter of translation, it's really how the technology is designed, taking into account that diversity of cultural and social background, which unfortunately, and this is what the several panelists put forward, is somewhere where in the last 20 years we kind of failed, because 20 years ago the hope was that diversity of languages and diversity of cultural projections of the world would be reflected in the digital tools. But today we have a monopoly of English, and we have a monopoly of mainly American companies designing these tools. And that's what happened with the internet, and the fear is that this is what's going to happen with AI. So it was a mix of being, pessimistic about the situation, but yet optimistic that it's still possible to change. It has to happen now, to really remind that these tools have to be inclusive, not only in the technical access, but the cultural and languages that they provide that allows people to use the internet in their own language and use AI in their own languages. And we had two very interesting case studies, one from India and one from Latvia, which I think should be really put forward.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Linguistic diversity and inclusion of languages in the internet, it's really important. We are working with UNESCO on the Decade of Indigenous Languages, and we've done several actions, like we've had a hackathon on that to develop really exciting solutions. We also had a repository open to collect what's going on, to implement the action line on C8 for indigenous languages and inclusion. So there is a lot of work going on, but like you said, there is a lot to be done as well, so that each and every person feels included, that the internet is mine and I can do what I want to.
Yeah, and I think it's a line. It's the number 8, but it should be transversal to all the efforts and all the policies. And for me, I related it a lot to the C9 line around media, because media have a key role to play in that, making sure that local languages are available, produced, broadcast in local media for the majority of the population is important too, and maybe these two efforts should be more combined.
Thank you. Laurie, your session again looked a lot at partnerships, partnership pivot. What were your key outcomes?
Well, I think like Amrita's session, which was very similar to my topic, it was amazingly consistent what we heard about the importance of the public-private partnership, the importance not just of national cooperation, but international cooperation. When we talk about cooperation, it's at many different levels. I think there were 2 key outcomes. One was a call for a recommitment to the WSIS. The title of the program was Rethinking, and we all agreed at the end, we've thought a lot about it. It's more about recommitting. And any forum that proposes multi-stakeholder systems is something that the private sector, the public sector, and civil society absolutely need to have, and WSIS is a leader here. The second outcome was more about going back to UN core values. And the core values stem from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And there flow the WSIS action lines, the SDGs. It all comes back to universal human rights. And if we remember that, then it might make the difficult path seem a little bit easier.
Thank you, Laurie. Of course, when we hear about people talking about the vision of WSIS, they're really encouraging us to have ambition, like a lot of ambition to ensure that we can continue the process in a multi-stakeholder format. We can ensure that we are able to achieve, we made progress in the 20 years, but there's still a lot to be done, right?
I would say that I wouldn't call it unique, because we are all looking forward, but particularly in this group of people, we had representatives from global north and south, east and west, and the ideas of progress were just across the board. So, for example, in Hungary, they're not only just interested in using inventions, they want to be able to manufacture hardware. So that opportunity is not just about flow of information, it's about investment opportunities. In Malaysia, they're looking at smart cities. In, I believe it's Senegal, they have a new digital deal, a digital new deal that harks back to completely elevating the entire society. So in terms of vision, I think the vision is strong, the vision is forward-looking. Nobody on the panel talked about the past. Everybody on the panel talked about the future.
Thank you. Laurie, we also, within the WSIS process, we are also including new stakeholder communities like mayors, like parliamentarians. We had a great session with the mayors on smart cities. It's really important that also capacity building of parliamentarians, they've been asking us. So with the International Parliamentary Union, tomorrow, we will be launching a series of capacity building training programs for the parliamentarians. So new communities are also coming in that need to be handheld by all of us who have been working in the implementation process. Thank you. And while talking about capacity building, Abdul Karim, your session was really about what's going on the ground, why capacity building is so crucial and important at every level.
Okay, thank you so much. I had a fantastic panel. ranging from ministers from Indonesia to Somalia to Russia and even from Cambodia. And they said almost the same thing, that we cannot have technology without the digital skills. There is nothing like technology without we having the skills that how everybody can actually use those skills in order to harness the importance of the technology itself. So they made that important and they told us exactly what they were doing. The minister from Ghana told us that one thing they are doing in Ghana is about partnership, trying to make sure that they partner with other organizations in order to deliver those digital skills. And also, one thing that came up that was so important is the issue of AI. And it was emphatic. The minister from Russia said, we need to harness the power of the AI, but while doing that, we need to make sure that we're actually doing that from the right perspective. And that is something that is important. And also, it was so important about digital skills, looking at a country like Somalia that is actually coming from, is a war-torn country, that they're just recovering from that. And they told us they're doing a lot when it comes to training of girls, training of youth, and that is something that it's actually really important, and that's something that we have to build upon. That over the last 20 years, the WSIS Forum has been there to provide a platform, and it is good to see that a lot of countries are actually doing a lot when it comes to digital skills.
Thank you, Abdul Karim. There were such diverse views, not only from different regions, but also different stakeholder types. So it's such a great experience to be able to hear in one platform or in one session all these diverse views, which often talk about similar or different issues. But it's really so important that you have one place where you can listen to everyone and who can share their stories from the ground, at the policy level, at the local level. Really, so Abdul Karim, some of the vision that was shared during your session.
Okay, thank you. So in terms of that, one thing that was really emphatic during my session is the fact that we cannot continue to work in silos. We have to bring all the communities together, the academia, the civil society, government, and everybody has to come together, and that is the way we have to work. There has to be partnership, because partnership is very, very important, and we have to emphasize that going forward, we have to come together and work together as one. And that is one thing the WSIS Forum is also emphasizing, bringing together all stakeholder groups so that we can sit together on the same table and have this discussion. And it is important for everybody to have a seat on the table, and that is how we can actually move forward.
Thank you, Abdul Karim. I think you summarized it very well. Every voice counts, and the WSIS Forum is a platform where every stakeholder has a role to play, and every stakeholder has a responsibility in the WSIS review, which will be held in December in the UNGA, the United Nations General Assembly. So thank you very much for coming for this milestone event, 20 years of WSIS and the vision of WSIS beyond 2025. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.